Here's an external hard drive, more exactly it's an SSD. It's made by ADATA. The model is SE800. It's an external SSD. It's ultra fast, USB 3.2 generation 2 and USB Type-C. So it has a USB Type-C cable. It is compatible with PlayStation 5 and Xbox. It looks something like this. It should be blue. The size is 1 terabyte, 1000 gigabytes. And it looks like this. It is shockproof, it is waterproof and dustproof. Okay, and that's the back. Interface is USB 3.2 generation 2, 10 gigabits per second. It works at 5 volts and it consumes almost 1 amp, 900 milliamps. It's more than 1 centimeter thick, 12 millimeters, and it's 40 grams. It's backward compatible with USB 2.0. It should work under Windows, Mac, Linux and Android. Of course, Android doesn't support NTFS, so don't format it in that way. Format it, let's say, using the exFAT file system. The package contains the external drive itself. It contains 2 USB cables, a Type-C to Type-C and a Type-C to USB-A, and it has a quick start guide. External USB 3.2, backward compatible with USB 2, so it works on slower computers also, but of course at a reduced speed. And there's a free download, HDD to go and OS to go. There's a QR code also. So I removed 2 stickers from the corners. So that is inside. It's very small. This cable is very thick, you can barely move it. So it's USB Type-C to USB Type-C. Whoa, this is a thick cable. Here's a quick start guide. You should just connect the hard drive, the SSD, to a laptop or a desktop computer using the USB port. Here's another cable. This is a traditional USB Type-A to USB Type-C of the hard drive. SSD more exactly. The Type-C to Type-C is thicker. The length is not too much, around the palm length. The hard drive is very small. Look how small that hard drive is. IP68 water resistance. SE800, that's the model. It works at 5 volts, 900 milliamps. And it's 1 terabyte in size. Here we have a USB sign. That's a USB port, USB Type-C. So this rubber or plastic on the inside here is softer, on the outside is harder. So if this one is pushed in, then it's sealed and it's waterproof and dustproof. But of course if you open it, then it's not waterproof. Only this side is holding it. It comes off pretty easily. So here's a USB Type-C cable. Of course you can move it. The weight of this is pretty low. The cable is pretty thick. Data transfer cable, value added software. So the hard drive size is exactly as this one. There's that black margin. So that's the hard drive. It's as small as this image here. So here's a Windows 10 laptop. Let's remove this cap, plug in the USB Type-C and connect it to a USB port. Nothing is happening. A blue LED is here on the hard drive. No drivers are mentioned here. Let's open a file explorer and the hard drive is mentioned here. No drivers were visibly installed. ADATA is there. and it's totally empty. Right click and properties, and it's NTFS already. 953 gigabytes. 1024, those are in bytes, those are in gigabytes. So don't format it as FAT32 because that will not allow larger files than 4 gigabytes. Either NTFS or let's see if we can use exFAT. So format, and yes, even REFS is available. Let's try exFAT, put it to default. Let's call it 1 terabyte and start. Yes, continue. Formatting is complete. I formatted into exFAT because NTFS can have username problems. One user might block the access of files to another user. Even if you don't do it, such problems can occur. I copied a large file from the laptop's hard drive, which is also an SSD. I will paste it here onto this external SSD. Let's see from SSD to SSD what speed we will get. Wow, that's fast. And it's ready. 1.3 gigabytes were copied in seconds. Now that's very fast. Let's see if I unplug it. It disappears. Plug it back in. File Explorer. Now the hard drive is there. And the file is there. 1.3 gigabytes copied in 3 or 4 seconds. And the installer started, so there is no data corruption. It says there's a newer version on this machine. Now that's suspiciously fast. Now I copied a lot of smaller files. Let's see how is the speed using many smaller files. Let's paste it. Speed drops to 30 something or even 0 and 1 megabyte. So using large files the speeds are pretty high, but using smaller files, many small files, the speeds are not great. 8 megabytes per second. That's the processor usage. That's the ADATA, and the speed is that one, 3 megabytes, 5 megabytes. So in case of a large file, it's writing onto that hard drive with almost 300 megabytes. Now it's dropping. Yes, there are many small files. Now it's fast again, and now it's slower again. And it finished. So let's see how much data is on this hard drive. 9.5 gigabytes were copied in 1 or 2 minutes, so it's pretty good. So now it's connected to a USB-A port, and between USB-C and USB-C probably the speeds are different. I'm not sure, I have to test it. Now it's using from USB-C to USB-A. So let's connect it for the first time to a desktop computer, and more exactly to a USB hub. Let's see how it will behave here. LED is flashing, nothing shows up in Windows. Let's copy a large folder. This one is 900 gigabytes. Let's see if I can copy it. It contains mostly large files, so the speed should be pretty good. 100 megabytes per second. 160 megabytes per second writing speed onto that external SSD. 180. Just of curiosity, let's pause this transfer. Flashing stopped. Let's unplug it and use a different USB port. Copy the same folder. 160 megabytes per second write speed onto the external SSD. So it estimates that 1 hour and 35 minutes are required to transfer those 900, almost 1 terabyte of data. So on the laptop the speeds were higher with around 100 megabytes. But let's pause this one. Let's see, this will remain here if I plug it in into a USB. Let's say there. It's still there, only the cable is holding it. And it's continuing it at roughly the same speed. So I paused the copying and it is a little bit warm, just a little bit. Of course the metal body helps dissipating the heat. And as I know, my desktop PC has a USB Type-C, so let's try that Type-C to Type-C cable. I never used that Type-C port. My motherboard, which is MSI B350 PCmate, should have a USB Type-C, which is there below the HDMI, and the USB Type-A. Connect the SSD there. So now the hard drive is connected there to the motherboard. Let's see the speed here. And it's roughly the same, 180 megabytes. So USB Type A or USB Type C, at least on my computer it doesn't matter. The speeds are roughly the same. After 29 minutes of copying, the speed is 150 something megabytes. After 40 minutes of copying, it still says that we need around almost an hour. This is the case of large files. When it hits small files, you will see much more there. By the way, I'm copying from a mechanical hard drive, and that one is almost fully used. It's a 2 terabyte mechanical hard drive, and that's why the speed is lower. When copying from an SSD, let's say from an SSD to an SSD, then it's faster. From a mechanical drive to an SSD, it's slower. That's why on the laptop I got almost 300 megabytes per second, and on a mechanical drive I get around 180 megabytes at maximum. From the mechanical hard drive it cannot read as quickly as it can write onto the SSD. So here's the SSD, the ADATA drive, and it's around, let's say, 40% used, and the mechanical drive is 98% used. So the mechanical one is slowing down the SSD. Now a few seconds ago it was copying with 210 megabytes per second from that mechanical hard drive. 210. After almost 2 hours, 1 hour and 56 minutes, copying finished. The disk is idle. So the mechanical drive was slowing down the SSD. And there you have it, 985 gigabytes were copied. And the drive is warm, it's not burning at all. You can still hold it. The metal is cooling it down.